GreenCow is an innovative, award-winning research programme. It's making a fundamental contribution to our understanding of greenhouse gas production by livestock, like cattle and sheep. This key facility in Edinburgh is part of international efforts to reduce the impact on climate change from emissions by ruminants.
Ruminants are animals like cattle, sheep, goats, etc. that have a very special digestive system. They have a stomach which is full of bugs, which is capable of breaking down plant material in a way that most other animals can't do. So most animals, ourselves included, don't get much nutritional value from plants. Ruminants have in their stomachs a vast array of bugs that break down the plant material into much smaller components that they can then use as nutrients. Unfortunately, that has a byproduct. It produces methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. It's about 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the main greenhouse gas produced from industry and transport, etc. So the big challenge is, how do we develop ruminants and ruminant livestock farming systems that achieve the main aim of producing high quality human food while reducing the methane emissions per unit of food produced. Some people have said, all right, it's simple, we just get rid of ruminant livestock, but that's far too simplistic. Globally, over 60% of the world's agricultural land is only capable of growing grass and forages, and that's a fantastic resource that we must be able to harvest if we're going to meet this challenge of feeding this growing human population. Ruminants are uniquely equipped to do that, so we have to find ways of enabling them to do so in a way that produces less greenhouse gases. At the core of that problem is research. We need new knowledge, new techniques in order to do that, and that's really what our activity here at GreenCow is all about.
GreenCow was opened in 2011 by Scotland's Cabinet Secretary for Rural Affairs, Richard Lochhead. Already it's providing very accurate emission measurements from different farm animals. This baseline data is also helping develop new measuring devices that are more practical for use in a field or shed.
The most eye-catching features about the facility are the 6 respiration chambers. These were developed in Scotland by ourselves as well as an Edinburgh-based manufacturer and make up 50% of the UK capacity. Early UK-based chambers were initially developed for nutrition work, but these have been designed specifically for climate change work to measure greenhouse gas emissions from ruminants. These have been developed to the highest modern specifications in terms of animal welfare and allow for plenty of space and free access to food and water, which we can measure from within the chambers. Alongside the respiration chambers, we've also developed 6 training pens, which are identical pens to what we find within the chambers. These training pens allow the animals to acclimatise to their surroundings, so familiarise themselves with what they're going to encounter whilst within the chambers. The respiration chambers essentially represent the gold standard in terms of measuring greenhouse gas emissions from ruminants, principally methane. We're also looking at cheaper, more practical alternative tools for measuring methane emissions both in outdoor and indoor environments. An example of this is our hood-based system, which is developed to fit onto most of our electronic feeders. And this essentially samples air around the headspace of the animal and provides detailed measurements of important gases, and this we can compare to the chambers. This facility essentially is very flexible in that it allows us to capture lots of data on different types of animal, different breed types, as well as different feeding strategies.
SRUC has hosted visits by UK ministers, chief scientists and leading climate change experts from around the world. GreenCow results have already been presented at international research conferences. Meanwhile, some new units, based on this Scottish design, have been built in Brazil by our Edinburgh-based commercial collaborators. Together, we're developing new international academic partnerships.
The main use we're putting the facility to at the moment is looking at breeds of livestock, families within breeds, the diets we feed them and the additives we can add to their diets to reduce emissions. And that's producing some fantastic results. We're finding differences in many of these variables. It's been a fantastic platform for growing international partnerships. Clearly, the issue of greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture is a global one. Globally, there are over 1.4 billion cattle. We only have about 1 million in Scotland, so we're not going to solve the problem of emissions from cattle by work we can do here. What we can do, though, is make sure that Scottish science is at the very heart of the international partnerships that really can make a difference. We've already got strong collaborations in the UK, the rest of Europe, New Zealand, Australia, and especially on a big scale recently, Brazil. There's a carbon copy of this facility already up and running in Brazil, which we've had a big input to, and there are others under construction, and that will enable us to compare results and do linked experiments across these continents. The facility is also a fantastic resource for our teaching, both undergraduate and postgraduate. We've got a number of research students using the data coming from this facility. And it's also a strong basis for interaction with industry, both the farming industry, who ultimately will be the people that have to take up and use the knowledge we're generating here, but also small and medium-sized enterprises that are developing new bits of kit that will help us to develop low-carbon systems into the future.
Reducing UK methane emissions by 1% is equivalent to taking 35,000 cars off the road. In Brazil, that would be 3 million vehicles. But some targets demand 40 times those numbers. The potential global reach of GreenCow technology is huge. It's a massive opportunity to make a difference for SRUC, Scotland and the UK.